Okay, so I just wanted to do a video about setting up a iRacing hosted session whereby you can have 2 or 3 races within a single session. It's not particularly easy or very intuitive the way iRacing has it set up. Um, it is going to be based on this write-up that I found recently by a guy called Jeff Williams, who does kind of put in good detailed steps what's needed to actually do achieve this. But I thought I'd just put it into a video and go through it to make it easier for people who perhaps would like to see a video on it. So obviously we need to be in hosted sessions to start. Select create a race, and we'll do it as a new race. So here we need to set up all the information, obviously session name, whatever you want, password if you want to password it, so obviously that will stop anyone entering the session that hasn't got the password, and then the description can be whatever you want. Server details, obviously generally it picks the local server for you. You can change it if you want to, but we'll leave that as Germany in the UK. Here you can either have the race start as soon as you finish setting it up, or you can select a specific day and start time, for example, that you see fit. Here you can select admins, you can add other admins so they will have control as well as yourself as the server host, moving sessions, obviously kicking people, penalties, or anything else you see fit. Then here's the main kind of section for it. And this is the kind of big thing really. We need to enable heat racing. This is what allows us to have either 2 or 3 races, for example, within the same hosted session. Select the heat racing format. There are a number of preset ones that you can use, and these will already be predefined, and you can set those up as you wish. If you do start setting them up, you can save settings that you've already done, but for this example, we'll start a new one. Okay, so here's where we set everything up for each separate race. So you first of all set your name and description. I think for this what we'll do is we'll lay out what we're actually going to do. So 30 minutes practice, 15 minutes race, 15-minute race, and then say 20-minute main feature race. One thing to remember here is also set the maximum entrance all the way to the maximum. This will enable us to have multiple heats and make sure that everybody does go through from each heat into each race. Basically just means that everybody can race in however many sessions that you have. So starting with practice, you can have open or lone practice, and again set your time for that. So we said 30 minutes, 30, and then on to qualifying. Now again with qualifying you can have either none if you just want to skip qualifying, or you can have lone qualifying, kind of typical iRacing default, um, or you can also have open qualifying where everybody will be on the track at the same time, setting a qualifying time in that period. One thing to note here actually is the same with the heats as well. iRacing will use whichever one of these happens first. It doesn't distinguish between, or so you can't kind of choose whether you want a timed session or it to finish by laps. iRacing will choose whichever one of these happens first. So in this example, if we want a 10-minute qualifying session, the session laps needs to be set more, or certainly last longer than 10 minutes. So if we typical lap wherever we're going to go, say it's just over a minute, if we set the lap slightly more than how that should last, then it will take 10 minutes as being the finish indicator for the qualifying session. Leave this number as 0, and that will basically mean against everything that's intuitive, everybody does move forward. Not going to have any cautions, and scoring if you want to, you can put on, and obviously best lap will be on pole. So next, going to heat races, again have this as the maximum field size. Similarly, again as before, set your length of time for minutes if you want, and then laps will be slightly again higher than whatever that session would be time wise. Number of entrants advancing again put to 0. Basically means everybody will move. Again, no cautions. If you want to invert the grid by any number, you can do here. For this one, we'll just keep it non-inverted, so the grid will line up as they finish according to qualifying. Not going to have any points scored just for this session. And then next, we move on to consolation. Actually, here is another important thing as well. If we skip consolation race for a second and go to feature race, we just need to make sure that this is maxed out to 64 again. It's just again another bit of a foible with iRacing that means if you don't do that, when you do the consolation race first and then go back to feature race, it won't let you select everyone or that high number. So with consolation races, we want 1 round separate races. This again opens up all the extra heats. And if we have a maximum field size, so everybody then moves forward into the same race. So this now means that we've got one race with everybody in it as effectively heat number 2 or race number 2. Session length, same again. So this would be 15 minutes in our template. And again, laps slightly longer so that it takes the first notification to finish, which would be 15 minutes. If you want to invert anyone for this race, again, obviously do it here. Always run consolation races, just tick that so it makes sure it happens, and we're not going to score points for this one either. And then finally onto the feature race. So again, just make sure that maximum field size is all the way over to the right. That just means that everybody that's done heat 1 and then effectively heat 2 in the consolation then will go into the feature race. If you want to have a break in between consolation, effectively heat 2, and then the feature race, this is where you can put it and you can change that for however many you want. So we'll leave it at 5 minutes for this example. Session length, well, we wanted 20 minutes, and just make sure it's the time that's finished. We set that a bit longer. So let's just say 26 laps just to ensure that this one's one that finishes first. And then if you want to invert for this race, let's say we invert the top 10 positions. So in this example, basically, we've got free practice, everyone in, qualifying where everybody's in, qualifying at the same time, heat 1, everyone's in that, consolation race, everyone's in that, and then everyone will move on to the feature race, which is this one. And then we've got a 5-minute warm up, which everybody can participate in if they want to. And that's pretty much it. If we save that format and then go back, and then the rest is fairly self-explanatory. You can pick cars, classes, say for this example, TCR, and then you can select which cars you want that can be selected. So 4 TCRs, for example, here. Next track, so pick whichever track. Say for this example, Donington, and we'll use the national layout. Then you can set things between rolling starts, standing starts, all the typical stuff, which is fairly, again, self-explanatory. Time of day, you can set specific times of day for when each of these sessions start. Not going to worry too much. Weather. So weather is another good one. You can either have static weather, obviously stays pretty similar all the way through. You can have forecasted weather for any given day, and you can regenerate that if you want to. So this will be for this particular day. I think when you select which day you're actually going to race on, it will take a typical forecast for that. And then obviously if you don't want it, you can just regenerate it and it does it slightly differently. Other sections here that you can change. Race options themselves, again, you can change obviously all the license requirements. You can have a limit on iRating. You can set limits for car incidents, etc., etc. AI roster as well. So if you want to use AI opponents, you can have already saved ones. You can generate a roster. You can have specific cars, or you can also use saved rosters that you might have, for example, on trading paints, which is what I'll use here. Um, Basically, this will just pick out any AI rosters that you might have made on trading paints. This, for example, is one that I've got here, and you can put those in if you want to, whether you want adaptive or fixed AI, and again, you can edit all of those as and when you need to. And that's really basically it. Make sure you got enough money in your account, and then you can set it kind of running. Okay, so that's pretty much everything done now. If we go back to here, um, so just to double check, what we've said we were going to do is 30 minutes practice, a 15-minute race, followed by a second 15-minute race, followed by a 20-minute feature race. If we go to the heat race details, if we do the heat preview first, so we've got 62 drivers in practice. There's no restriction on laps because it's just 30 minutes timed. Qualifying, we've got all drivers, a maximum of 14 laps, but we want to finish it after 10 minutes. So remember, iRacing always goes for the first one of laps or timed sessions. Heat 1, we've got all drivers, maximum of 19 laps, so hopefully 15 minutes would be sufficient. And then consolation 1, or effectively Heat 2, again, it's all 62 drivers that participated in qualifying in Heat 1 with a maximum of 19 laps, so hopefully 15 minutes would be enough time to finish that. Warm up, just everyone would go into warm up, so that's just a 5-minute session where nothing's really happening. And then feature race, everyone's in the feature race with a maximum of 26 laps, which hopefully is enough laps to do 20 minutes of racing. And that's what our total time is. 108 minutes. iRacing always kind of converts it to the nearest, which is an hour, which is quite good. And then actually, if we go just to double check the preview event duration, so practice is 30 minutes, qualifying 10 minutes, heats 15 minutes. The first one, second one 15 minutes, and then the feature race 25 minutes. So 30, 40, 55, 65, 70, 71, 95. So the whole thing will take an hour and 35 minutes actually. There's obviously already money in my account, so that's what I would need to top up in order to have the hosted session last that long. But hopefully that's been some help. I'll leave the link to the written advice as well, and then you can use obviously either or.